So for today's session, we are going to cover following topics. First, we will start with what are playbooks, who can use them, when they should be used, discuss some of their key benefits, and at last, in the demo part, we will cover an extensive use case to get a better understanding of playbooks. So previously, playbooks were known as Process Automation Designer. So there is a module by this name, which will redirect us to Workflow Studio. In Workflow Studio, we have a separate section for playbooks. With the help of playbooks, we can create and manage cross-enterprise end-to-end business workflows. Playbooks enable us to divide our process into separate individual stages. Each of these stages can be further broken down into a sequence of activities or tasks. We can think of these activities as building block of our playbook. These activities in background run a flow of flow action to execute their logic or perform any updates. For example, if you take a look at the right-hand side screenshot, let me zoom in. There, in this particular customer onboarding playbook, we have around 4 stages, and each of these stages have their own activities. As soon as these activities within a stage are completed, we move on to the next stage. One of the key features of Playbook is team collaboration. Means multiple teams can work on the same process to complete it. If we talk about configuring UI of playbooks, playbook experience comes into picture. Playbook experience is a vast topic and will require its own separate session. But for now, using playbook experience, we can configure how a playbook is presented to an end user or an agent at runtime. So now talking about who can use playbooks. Playbooks are a powerful tool with an intuitive interface. No and low coders can utilize out-of-the-box activities with drag and drop feature to build their business process. Developers have an option to build custom activities with various level of scripting. For business process owners and business analysts, ServiceNow provides around 200 plus out-of-the-box application processes which they can use or configure as per their requirement. Now, next topic, when to use playbooks. So whenever we have a requirement where we have to build a process that involves us to perform a sequence of multiple steps in order to achieve a business goal, we should think of using playbooks. Or we have a requirement where data needs to flow between each step of the process. Or we need to maintain states of the process like new, in progress, completed. Here, users have the ability to leave the process in between and pick up where they left off. In such cases, playbooks can serve as a powerful tool. Also, if one has a requirement to create and manage their own business process or take advantage of ready-made workflows, playbooks can be used. Talking about some of the key benefits. Playbook serves as a central repository for all business processes. Developers can access all ServiceNow capabilities within Playbook Builder. This makes the whole process seamless for development and maintenance. They can create their own custom activities and utilize the same flow or action, making the logics reusable and the entire system a lot efficient. For business service matter experts, Playbook serves as a powerful tool with low-code UI. They have visualized playbook in board view or diagram view. We will see both of these view in the demo part uh, when we cover it. Here, in a running playbook, we can see at what stage or activity the process is and who's working on that particular activity. We can also see how many stages have been completed and how many activities are yet to be done. Now, also, team collaboration is a key benefit, means each activity can be assigned to a different team who can work on them. These playbooks can be embedded into many different places in ServiceNow, like workspaces, mobile apps, portal, wizards, and custom UI pages. So they are widely available and multi-channel. So now Manjesh will cover the demo part where we will discuss a use case and understand playbook a lot better. So over to you, Manjesh.
Okay, so let me just explain the use case, what we are going to achieve today. So if you remember the last time when we did the decision tables, we had a CSM portal where we have a security devices manufacturing company who were onboarding their customers, and customers were able to place order for these individual devices and like security cameras or fire safety devices and all. So we are extending the same use case. We are using the same portal, and in that portal, we are introducing a onboarding mechanism for the customer. And once during the onboarding, we are going to ask them a few questions, and based on the responses, we are going to give them some device suggestions. If they're okay with the devices, if they think they fit their need, they can go ahead with the same devices, or if they want to add or remove more devices, they can do that. And once they select the devices, complete the device selection, then we automatically submit the orders for those devices on behalf of the customers. Okay, it's a very simple use case. The reason for this is we couldn't cover the entire, we couldn't cover the complex use cases within the given time frame since we have a time limit for this session. So we have kept it simple. And also, second thing is we didn't build this playbook from, we are not going to build these playbooks from scratch during the session because we did run a trial session to try to build it on the call and we went way over an hour. So we couldn't fit that, and we didn't want to miss some of the key features by just trying to skip them and try to create the flow in front of you. Playbook in front of you. Okay, so I will walk you through what we have created. You should understand what has been done. And if you guys have any questions, please leave it in Q&A. We will get to that. Okay, to start with, let me just show you how a playbook looks. Okay, for our use case, we have put the playbook onto the portal for end customer. We can also embed it into the workspace or onto a UI builder and the multiple places as Shubham was mentioning. So for this demo, we are putting it on the um, CSM portal. Okay, so this is how it looks. This is the look and feel of the portal, of the playbook. So you have some questionnaires. They can start answering the questions, and the what do you say, the sections that you see on the left side are called stages. So each stage will have multiple or individual activities. Okay, so I will not place this order. I will walk you parallelly with the actual playbook definition in the backend and also with this one, so you can correlate between these two. Otherwise, you would lose the track of it. So to access the playbooks, you can access it from the studio, just like your actions, flows, decision tables, and all. So I'll go to Workflow Studio, and here you can see we have this playbook which we have created. The two ways, before I explain our existing playbook, we can, just to explain how to create it, we can click on new, just like any object like flow, subflow, action, decision table, you can create the playbook as well. It's pretty simple, the creation, you just give it a name and select the application and start building it. Okay, once you start building it, the first step will be to add a trigger to it. Okay, I'll show you the trigger. So this is the view. We have two views as Shubham was mentioning. One is the diagram view, which looks more like your flow chart, and the next one is the board view. Okay, so you can see here in the diagram view, you can see the trigger, but in the board view, you will not see the trigger condition, but you can configure it from the properties here. Okay, so as soon as you create it, whichever view you are, it will give you a pop-up to create the trigger. So in this case, so there for trigger, there are multiple types. You can predefine a trigger in the system and reuse it, or you can use the out-of-the-box trigger. So we are, for our use case, we are using the out-of-the-box one, which is creation of a record. There are two options, out-of-the-box creation of a record, updation of a record, or create or update of a record. Okay, you can trigger it from all these three scenarios. So our use case, we have this create record and table. You can select on what table when a record is created you want to start. So this is for customers. We have created a custom table for this one. I'll explain you further why we went with a custom table than using a than using out of the box table, or are there any other options that we could have used? Okay, I'll explain you that. So this is the table we have created to store the details from the customers, the onboarding customers. Sorry. So in this table, we have lots of fields that we have created, sections and all. So what we do is we present, this is the form or this is the table record that we present to the customer when they start doing the onboarding here, right, on the portal. And we start capturing their inputs and keep giving them different views of the same table. And we start capturing the inputs and we make the decision. We give them the suggestion for the devices and also place the catalog item orders for those. Okay, so coming back here, so here I'm saying as soon as a record is created on this table, attach my playbook to it. Okay, I don't have any conditions, so I have not used it. So this condition will let you put some additional conditions on this table record that you're creating. If you want to just do it for certain type of customers or certain type of businesses, you can enable that here. Okay. Next is run trigger on extended tables. We don't have this, since it's a custom table, we don't have extended tables. So we've kept it switched off, kept it false. And here you have the playbook name in general, and also this allow this playbook to be restarted during runtime. This is a very important action, an important feature that we have. What we can do using this is whenever you have a playbook running, and let's say the customer made a error, or let's say the playbook is designed for a workspace agent and he made a mistake and they want to restart the playbook. So this will allow them to do the restarting. Okay, if I keep it false, then once I go past a stage or an activity, I cannot restart it. It's as simple as that. So I'll keep it true. We have kept it true. And I'll switch to board view just because I'm used to working on board view in the past on process automation designer, so I'll keep on board view. But yeah, it's pretty similar here. So you click on the activity, you see the details here. Same thing happens here. Okay, so you click on the stage, you see the stage details here. Onboarding property, same thing happens here. Okay, so I will stay on the board view for the rest of the session. You can explore the diagram view or the flowchart view by yourself once you're trying this on your system. Okay, next. So this is how your typical playbook looks. Initially, when you start with, once you add the trigger, you'll have no stages. It'll have some dummy 2 or 3 columns where you can start adding your stages. And then under each stage, you can start adding your activities. Okay, so first I'll talk about stage. So if you click on the stage, it will first thing it'll ask you for a name for your stage. So this I've called it as onboarding. Then it will ask for a description if you want to give some description on what this stage is basically for. So you can give the description, and also you have a start rule. So this start rule is basically available on all the stages and the activities. You can define when to start this specific stage or an activity. So in this case, I'm starting it right after the process starts because there is no other stage that's before this one, right? Before onboarding. So even if you say after specific, you will not get anything to be selected because this is the first one. And you have something called additional options on your stage and activity definitions when you try to edit them. When you click on them, it'll give you a few more options like you want on the restart options, how you want to control it during the restart, and the delay options, you want to configure some delay, and you want to add a condition for this one to start, all these things. So first thing is the display order. Here you can see the display order is 1. And this is the first stage, so I'm not going to change it. So if I make it second, then this will become second and this will take the precedence. Okay, I'm not going to change the display order. And conditions, you can use the trigger record, the customer onboarding record, and put some conditions here. As I was saying earlier, you want to skip some stages or skip some activities for specific type of requests, you can put those filters here. So you will skip this stage and go to the next stage. Similarly, in activities, you'll skip the activity and go to the next activity. Okay, and this restart rules, as I was showing you the playbook definition where we have enabled the restart. Here we can tell what should happen to this stage on the restart. Should we skip it on restart? Should we always run it on restart or normal triggering on restart? And should we skip it on first run? So during the first restart, should we skip it? So I'll keep it as run always. You want I'm just giving the uh, user to restart the playbook n number of times. This basically this stage. Okay, so this is the stage. Then under each stage, we will start creating the activities. So as Shubham was mentioning, ServiceNow out of the box gives around 200 activity definitions. You can see here you have, so if you even include all the automation assets, it will become even more than that. So for all your custom applications you have, or sorry, uh, what do you say, the scoped applications that you have. So ServiceNow offers, for instance, incident management. So we have these additional activities that are provided as part of this application, incident management for, I think this is for, um, I think this is for major incidents, if I'm not wrong. I'm not able to see the preview of the name. Similarly, we have one for CSM, if I'm not wrong, the customer service. So there are a few things here which are available, which you can reuse. So based on your subscription, we can use any of these activities. So for our demo, we are only going to cover the global ones and common activities that they have given. Okay. Um, so you can see here the color coding, some are in light blue, some are in yellow, some are in light greens. So this color coding is based on type of activity that we've used. Okay. So activity definition we have used. The first one is create record, which is nothing but the activity definition is automated create record. So before going here, I'll just explain what exactly happens in that activity we are trying to do. The customer comes in, logs in, opens it, and they will answer this question first thing, are if they are an existing customer. Let's say they are not an existing customer, okay, then they'll give some name. So let's say they give their name and they'll give their email address and they'll give their email, phone number, and their address. No, just to city, let's say it's Bangalore. Okay, so they gave in their address and they say continue. Now, what I'm trying to do is in this stage, as soon as they fill in the details for their about their account, we are trying to create a account record. Okay, so that is being done with this activity. So it's an automated creation of record, and I've just given it a name as create account. And start rule is just I'm starting it as soon as the stage starts. No change here. And you can see here, if I want to put it after activities, you will not find an activity because this is the first activity in my stage. So I'm keeping it as stage starts. And we will have two more tabs mostly in all of the activities that you will use. Automation is where you define what should happen as part of this activity. And UI layout is where you mention how this activity will look to the customer or like an workspace agent, whoever is working on this playbook. So under automation, you can see the automation is create record. As Shubham was mentioning, all these activities have an underlying flow, right, or a subflow. So this is the subflow that is associated with this automated record creation activity. So if I click on this, you can see it's an action. Sorry, it's not a subflow, it's an action. It takes some inputs, it has a script, it runs it, and it does gives some output. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is it's asking me for inputs. I'm giving the table name, which table I want to create the record on. As I said, since they filled in the details of the account, we are going to create the account. Okay, um, we are here currently. So sorry. So here I'm saying create a record on this account table. The fields have to map his name. I pick it from the account name they inputted, and city, phone, street, country, email, zip, everything from whatever they have inputted. Okay. And next is UI layout. This outputs, we don't have any control. So basically this out of the box object, record activity will give us these two outputs. So we can use it in any of the upcoming stages or activities within the playbook. The next is UI layout. No UI layout changes here. I mean, UI level changes required here because there's an automated record creation and we are not going to present anything to customers. So I've left it as is. No form fields, no header, no footer, nothing. So this was the first activity. Second activity is automated updation of a record. Here, what we are trying to do is we are trying to use the account we just created and put it onto the update it back onto the onboarding request. So let me just show you the you customer. This is the table that we have, and this is the record we just created. So maybe I can show you in the list view itself. So they put in all these details. Now what we have done is we have created account. So you can see here the account is Kumori Technologies, the same details that they put. We have created this account, and using this update activity, we are going to update back this account onto the onboarding request we just created. This one. So this one. Okay, so you can see account name is there and account is a reference field. We have already updated back the account we just created onto this one. Okay, so that is being done here in the updated record. So here, as I said, I've given the name as update record, automated update record, and that's what it is doing, automatically updating the account onto the onboarding request custom table record. Then start rule, again, we can select when stage starts or after specific activity. I intentionally wanted it to run after the creation of account. We want to update the account. So I've kept it after specific activities and this gets, so we don't have to do this. If I click on add activity, this auto system will auto pick this one, assuming that it's a sequential order. And if you don't want to have it sequential, you can remove it and put it like this. So in this case, if I do it as when stage starts, both create account and update, automated update record both runs parallelly. Okay. The next is automation. Again, I'm going to give them the record which needs to be updated, which is my trigger record, and table gets auto-populated based on the record I've given and the field. As I was showing you, we generated the account field, right? So you can see here, I'm mapping the account field to the result of, I can show you here, to the result of this create activity. This account record is what I've mapped. The result of this is mapped to this one. Next, UI, no changes since it says an automated activity, so no changes on UI. Next is the business details stage. So it's in second stage. So you can see here this name and all, it's similar to what we have previously. This one thing that has changed is start rule. Now we are saying started after specific stage, that is onboarding. Similar to activities, if I add an activity here, as it picks the thinks that it's sequential and picks this after specific activity. Similar to that, when we try to create a stage also, add stage, it will try to put it after sequentially after the previous stage. Okay. So that way you can see here it has picked it before to start it after onboarding. Now next is activities. So in this activity, we are trying to ask a couple of questions. So we have multiple options here. I mean, two options here, basically to gather the inputs from customers. One is the user form activity, or the other one we have is questionnaire. Okay. So what happens in questionnaire is you can see here, we will ask them questions, we'll prompt them with the questions, and once they give us the answers, so we can ask them different types of questions, right? Like a multiple choice or a string input or radio buttons or a checkbox, yes or no. So we can ask these different types of questions to them. And based on their inputs, the question and answer that they have feedbacked or they have answered us, the questions that have answered us, that will be available in the scope of this flow, this playbook, right? So outside that, we cannot access them. If we have to access them, then we have to read them and again copy to a table and then use it. So to avoid that, we have not gone with questionnaire. Instead, we have gone with user form. Uh, it's here. So we have selected already. So it's not, that's why I'm not able to see. So we've gone with user form. User form is nothing but you will have an record already. You just display that record to customer with the fields that you want to show them. So that's all. So you show it to them, then you can directly ask these questions and get the response from them and store it directly on the record. So that's the, I mean, for us, since we had to store the responses for future users, we have directly used the user form instead of questionnaire. Okay. Again, start rule, and this is the first activity, so we've kept it as when start states. And again, automation. This automation is again, it's a underlying automation for this user form is this manual activity flow, so which is a subflow. This is out of the box subflow, and we cannot edit it. Okay. So if you want to create new activities, you can create it. I'll show you. We have done one or two custom activities as well. I'll show you that. Next, UI layout. Here we definitely need a UI layout where we are going to give them a form view and form fields. Okay, so few things here. I have to tell what table and what record we are going to show to customer as part of this user form, and what field will be in the detail section. So the detail section is here. So this account that you see here, this is the detail section. So they can click on this and see the preview of the account that they have created. Okay. Since I'm an admin, I can edit this, but for them it would be read only. And this is the actual form view, the location type and real estate size. Okay, so these two are coming from here, the form view. The form view is called business details. As I was showing earlier, we have created some views on this records. This is the default view. We have a business details view, onboarding view, device suggestion, shipping details, all these different things. So if I go to business details, you can see that it has two fields, location type and real estate. That's exactly what we are showing here, location type and real estate size. Okay, so you might have a questions on whether the client-side scripting works here. Yes, client scripts and UI policies works similar to your normal forms. So you can control the visibility of fields, hide the fields, make them mandatory, clear values. All these operations can be done. Okay, and they are similar client scripts or UI policies. So this is the business details. It's of type user form, as I said. Then what we are trying to do is present this form, business details to them with these two fields, location type and real estate size, and let them input the values to us, and we store those values. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is just say that they have a private office. The customer Komori Technologies have a private office and their size is up to 10,000 square feet. Okay, their office space is up to 10,000 square feet. And once they give this input, they can update and stay here, or they can skip this step, or they can mark it as complete. So I will mark it as complete. So now I came to the next stage. I will come back to this after explaining these two activities. So once they give us the business details, we are making a decision. So based on the type of decision, whether it's a school or a private office or a warehouse or a data center, and the size of the real estate, their office space, we are making we are making a decision to identify the possible devices they have to install on their office or on their site. So for this, what we have done is we have used a type called make a decision. Okay, so this make a decision will you make use of your decision tables in the system. If you remember from previous session, we had created the decision table. So here we can reuse the decision table to pass the inputs from the flow activities and let it make a decision and return the decision back and reuse those decision that we have got back from the decision table. So this is the activity, out of the box activity, which is available called make a decision first match. But there is a challenge here or a limitation, that is we can only use the first match. If you remember the previous session for decision tables, we had two options. One is the first match or all matches. So we could use this for loop to go through all the matches and use them. But here in the playbooks, they only support first match. Okay, so you have to just keep that in mind when you try to use the decision tables in the playbook. Again, start rule, I'm going to skip. It's similar to that. And here you have automation. We don't have UI layout because this doesn't need a UI for decision. So what I've done is automation. This DT first evaluation is the flow or subflow that they have, sorry, action that they have out of the box. Again, it's readable. It's just read only. They just take the decision table and input out of the box and invoke the decision table, pass the inputs and get us the responses. You can see here we can give our decision table name and the inputs. I have created a decision table called device suggestion for customer, which takes two inputs. One is location input, real estate size, which the customer inputted here. Okay, they said it's private office and up to 10,000 square feet. These two we will pass it to this activity, make a decision, and it gives us a response. I'll just show you this decision table. This is the one, device suggestion for customer. In this, you can see the inputs. We have location type and real estate size, and you can see that for all these inputs, the decisions that we're making and also the default decision. So I'll not spend too much time here. Ours was a private office up to 10,000 square feet. So basically, we should get security camera X series and fire extinguisher as the suggestion. Okay, let's go back and see that in a minute. Before that, once the decision comes back, we have another activity here where we have used a custom activity to update a record. Okay, so why we have used this custom activity is this one returns two decisions as I was showing here. One is the security camera, the other one is the fire safety device, has two separate inputs. What we are trying to do is use those two separate inputs and update a single field on our customer onboarding request record. So it's a custom activity. So you can see activity definition says update suggestions. So this activity was created by us. I'll show you the flow for this one. So basically any custom activity is nothing but a flow or a subflow or a action, right? You can see here, this is the update catalog suggestion is the flow, underlying fly flow for this activity. So how you can create an activity is when you do this, you have an option to create new activity. Once you try to create a new activity, it asks you for activity details. Then it will force you to create a underlying subflow or a flow or an action for this activity. Okay, then you can also create an automation. We are not covering this in this demo, so probably in future demos, we will try to show you how we can use this automations as well. In this case, we have created an activity called update catalog suggestion, which is a subflow. Basically, it takes the input as the security camera device, fire safety device, and it is a very basic activity of action of just combining those inputs and updating a field on customer onboarding request. You can see here, if you go to default view, So this is the field that we are trying to update with the suggestions they made. And you can see the suggestions was X series and fire extinguisher. And I think I showed you exactly same private office 10,000 is X series and fire extinguisher. Okay, that is this activity. And now if I come back to the playbook, if I go to suggested devices, you can see here, okay, this part I have to show you. This is the first activity in the third stage, which is device suggestion stage, where we are going to suggest them the device. Here you can see there's the label of the activity. And in this activity, you will have, we have said when the stage starts, we are going to trigger it off. And automation layout again, similar things. Since it's a record update, sorry, a user form activity, you can see we have automation and UI layout. In automation, as I was showing in the same business details, which is also a user form, it's out of the box flow. So we can't edit it. So we are using the same thing. But in UI layout, I've said the table is customer onboarding request and the record is customer onboarding request. And the header or the details tab, we have added location type and real estate says. So you can add any fields here. So just to give brief update on what happened to on the previous stage to customer, we've just kept the input from their inputs from previous stage onto here. I can add n number of fields on this table. Okay, I've told them you have selected location type as private office and real estate as up to 10,000 square feet. So these are the devices we are suggesting: security camera X series and a fire extinguisher. Now the customer, before coming to that, so you can see that, and in the form view, we have used the device suggestions view, which is a view on this again, which is here, which will only show you the suggested devices, and the field we are showing is suggested devices. Okay, that is all this activity is doing here. And if I come back here, let's say they want more. They said, okay, I need the X series, I need the extinguisher, but I also need a fire detector or a sensor. Okay, so they will select that and they will mark it as complete. Then I'll switch to the next stage. You can see our system automatically switch to the next stage and it asks you for shipping details. So this is my fourth and last stage, which is shipping details, where we ask the customer to input the shipping details, where they want the device to be delivered and all. Okay. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the stage definition. It's pretty standard. And I'll go to the activity. So in the activity, you can see we have this, we have used the user form again. You can see here, we are showing this user form, sorry, we're showing this user form to customer, where we are asking them to give us the inputs for shipping. So same way, automation, this is out of the box flow or subflow. Then here we are saying table is onboarding request and record is the trigger record. And in the details tab, we are showing suggested devices here that we are going to deliver them. And in the form view, we have used this shipping details form. And these are the fields that we are showing. So you can see all the fields. Now I'm going to fill in this. So this is my name and this is my shipping email. And this is my phone number. Let's say I have some test address. I'll give some test address. I'll skip this one. Shipping city, I'll say Bangalore. State, I'll say okay, so India, and some code. So once I finish this, we'll just give them a thank you note. Okay, here. So before coming to this, I will switch back to the playbook. So after they input all this, we'll give them this thank you. So this is the type, this is of type instructions. Okay, the activity definition is of type instruction. We will just give two inputs here, label and description. Okay, it also has automation and UI layout. In automation, it's just the simple instruction flow they have. And the inputs is the message, which I have kept it to the description that we have here, and user input. So there are two options here. You can wait for user input or you can skip that. So what I've done is I have kept it as true so that they still have an option to mark it as complete or skip. If I had skipped it, they would have just shown them thank you and they should have, I mean, we could have just ended the playbook there. No options to input from them. Okay, so I've kept that as yes. And UI layout. So you can put the title and description. This is the title and this is the description that we are showing here. And it comes basically from these two. So title, I've kept it as same as label. And this description, I've copied to this description to show it. And I've not put any footers. If you want to put some footers, let's say the company name or signature, something, you can add it here. Okay, so I'll say mark complete. So this activity gets completed, gets completed, everything gets completed. But in background, we are still yet to create the orders for the items they selected, right? So for that, we have put this custom activity. What it does is, as you can see, the activity definition is submit catalog items. This is a custom one that we have created. The automation is the submit catalog items, which is a subflow. What it does is it accepts the suggestions, the customer onboarding request itself, and read the suggestions. I put a for each. For each suggested devices, I'm going to submit the catalog item. That's all. Now you can see here, if I go to request item table, since we had, sorry, 3 devices, X series, fire extinguisher, and fire smoke sensor, we should have 3 RITMs generated. Let me sort it. So 1 minute ago, 1 minute ago, 1 minute ago. So these are fire extinguisher, fire or smoke sensor, security camera X series. So if I open any one, it have all the details that we filled in. Okay, I'm the requested for, this is the account, this is my email address I put, all these details. Okay, I think I've not added the first name, last name here, but we can map it directly, easily on the variables. Okay, and it will follow each of them will follow its own life cycle. You can already see the fulfillment task is created for this one. So this is how it works. So one thing we haven't covered is this form or this experience. We didn't configure this experience anywhere. So from where does this experience comes into picture, right? So this is where the playbook experience comes into play. We haven't explained it. I mean, I haven't explained it yet, so I'm going to explain it. So I hope the playbook is all clear. So I will switch to playbook experience. So the initial, if you see here, I have not set up the form, the initial form, this existing customer, yes, no, all these details anywhere here. It directly starts with create account. And before this, I only had my trigger to trigger it on this record, right? Nowhere else we have reference to show this form and get their inputs for their account details and all, right? So that happens in something called content item. So content item is a way for us to, playbook content item is a way for us to embed our playbook into portal. Okay, so this is similar to your catalog item. Okay, it's just an extension of your catalog item. What we do is it behaves similar to catalog item. We just like you relate your flow or sub or workflow or uh, workflow or a flow to your catalog item, standard catalog item. Here we have something called content item for which we are going to relate our playbook. Okay, so you can see here the name customer onboarding playbook. This is what you saw here. I'll just show you once the support. This is what you see here, customer onboarding playbook. And you can see the image and playbook for onboarding new or existing customers, right? So that is the image here, and short description is playbook for onboarding new or existing customers. Then we select the catalog, put it on CSM under CSM catalog and support category, which you just saw on the portal where I found this catalog item. Then the table against which record it should run. This is the onboarding request record. Record ID, I've kept it as -1 because I'm attaching it for new record, so I don't have any defined record to which it has to be assigned to or attached to. Then you have something called playbook experience. So I'm not going to explain the playbook experience in depth because it's a very vast topic and probably we can have a couple of sessions only to explore the playbooks playbook experience and how to configure them and use them. So what we have done in our case is we have used this out of the box CSM configurable workspace, which ServiceNow gives as part of playbooks for customer CSM application scope or plugin. So we have reused the same thing. You can see it has so many things like configuration, activity overrides, UIs, action mapping, all this. So all the UIs that you saw on the portal, right? All these UIs were derived from this experience. Okay, so we have reused that experience. And the next thing is the record generator. This is very vital. So what happens in this record generator is this is where we link our the initial view that you saw, right? The existing customer, yes or no. That and also the playbook. So you can see here, we select the table as onboarding request. The process definition. The process definition is nothing but the playbook. So we show the list of playbooks. Okay, so customer onboarding is the playbook, as I showed you here. This is the playbook. So I've selected this playbook. So I'm linking this playbook to my content item that I've just created. And also I've given it some name and the view. So you can see all the views for this table here. Default, business, onboarding, device suggestion, shipping details. I showed you almost all these views on the actual customer onboarding request record. So I've kept it as customer onboarding. So customer onboarding is the initial view, this view that loads. And this page, all these things loads from your experience. Okay. So this is your content item. This is your experience. Now this is the title I have given and category and catalog and available for work similar to your catalog items. Okay. I'll not cover it. And now coming back here, a few more features. I will just cover it quickly since we are almost at the time. We have to finish it. So a few things here. You can deactivate the playbook anytime and reactivate it as well. You can duplicate the playbook if you want to make some tweaks to existing stages or activities and reuse it. You can duplicate and reuse it. In the properties, similar, you can see you can allow or enable or disable the runtime. You can rename the playbook and you can change the record, table conditions, all these things can be done here. And you can delete the playbook as well if you wish to delete. That is also feasible. And what else is there? I think obviously you would have explored this. So you can zoom in, zoom out, and see the entire picture of the playbook here in the diagram view. This is your trigger I just mentioned. Yeah, I think this is about the views. Now, coming to the another feature. So if you remember, I was explaining you about the restart functionality. I just showed you here as well on the restart. So how can we restart? For instance, let's say I'm saying I'm an existing customer and I say my company is this and I continue. Okay. I came to second stage where I'm supposed to put in the business details. And here I think that I made a mistake. Okay, this is not my account. If I want to restart it. So if you recall, I have enabled the restart on the playbook level, and I've also enabled the restart on the if I go to additional options on the individual stage levels and activity levels, right? So for that, if I come here, I can either restart the entire playbook or I can restart a specific stage. Uh, Here. So restart the stage. So this is still not started, so that's why you don't see it. But here you can see you can restart the stage. The restart will allow you to restart the stage or the entire playbook as well. Okay. So that is one thing. The other thing I wanted to show is you have something called optional activities. Okay. So what these optional activities, how you can reuse them is, let's say you have a playbook which you've created and you want to have some optional activities which are not mandatory for customer to do. Okay, so in that case, you can configure. We have two types of optional activities. One is a global optional activity. The other one is just stage-based optional activity. So in this stage, let's say you wanted an approval somewhere and you want it to be optional for them. So you can configure it. It'll be optional. If they want to do it, they can fulfill it, or if they don't want to do it, they can skip it. Similar to that, you want to have a multiple or a single global optional activity which you want to reuse within the flow. which in the playbook. So you can configure the global optional activities as well. Okay, and use them as and you want it. Next thing I wanted to show you is the so context. You can go to Studio, just like in operations, how you can see your flows executed on daily basis. You can see your playbooks also. I'm going to click on all executions. You can see this is the one we completed some time ago, and this is the one which is in progress here. One thing that we don't have here is will not have a uh, flow context view for this playbooks because it's very difficult for them also to show them. We will only have the record context view like this. Okay, you can see the executions and the logs, if there are any errors, debug informations, or everything can be found here. And these are the activities that we executed just some time ago. You can see here we did the onboarding started, we created the account, updated the account, we started this stage, we ended this stage, then we started the next stage, we took the business details, we did the decision, we made a decision, we updated the suggestion of based on the decision, we ended the second stage, third stage started, suggested device. So everything is here. You can see the details of each one here and associated records as well here. But however, you will not have the preview, just like your flow previews, right? You can go to the flow preview and you can see how it looks here, the inputs of it, the outputs of it, where it's waiting. You cannot view this view for playbooks. That's a limitation for today. I mean, as of today. Okay, where did it go? Here. You have another feature called archiving the process context. What it does is it will delete all the records related to this playbook and it will archive it and it will just keep it as a JSON object within ServiceNow. But the only limitation is today ServiceNow will not give us access to this JSON object. It's just maintained within ServiceNow. If you need it, you might have to raise a support ticket for them to give it to you. Okay, in future, maybe they might expose those JSONs to us so that we can go back and see what happened as part of this process context. The other way to archive is you can come here, you can go under process automation, and yeah, you can go to today's execution. You can see today there are 3 executions. One is in progress. I just select all and try to context, I mean archive. So I can only archive 2 because 2 are completed. The other one is in progress, so we cannot um, archive the in progress one. We can only archive these 2. So once it's archived, consider it's gone. It's very good practice to archive it because these individual playbook executions creates hundreds of records, be it the execution logs, the activity execution, and each activity execution have its own details, granular details. So it's better to always clean up our process context records quickly. Okay, so that's why ServiceNow has given you this options. So you can see how much record for individual activity execution has. Okay, from the memory perspective, it's better to clear them all timely in a timely manner. Uh, One more thing is the restart I mentioned. You cannot restart a closed or a cancelled playbook. Okay, you can only restart it when it's in progress. I think I missed to mention that. Okay, that's pretty much it on what I had to cover. Shubham, just let me know if I missed something.
Nothing, Manish. I think
Okay.
we are good.
Okay, do we have any questions?